Hi, everybody, and welcome to the Eddie Sutton Show. I'm Robbie Robertson, along with Oklahoma State head basketball coach Eddie Sutton. There are just 16 teams left in the NCAA basketball tournament, and the Oklahoma State Cowboys are one of them. Last weekend, Oklahoma State went to the NCAA East Regional in College Park, Maryland, and knocked off New Mexico and North Carolina State to advance to the Sweet 16. And, Coach, congratulations. Must be a great feeling for you and your ball club and all Cowboy supporters.
It is a great feeling, Robbie, because I've had so many good teams through the years and some wonderful young people that have played for me at the different places I've been. But I don't believe I've ever had a team that maximized their talent any better than this group. They've certainly surpassed what most people thought they could accomplish this year. And now we find ourselves with only 16 teams left, 2 games away from being in the Final Four. And today, when you reach the regional tournament, which is the Sweet 16, it's like a Final Four in itself with all the media coverage that you receive, with all of the hoopla that goes with it, the way CBS has covered the games thus far. I remember back in 1978 when we went to the Final Four, and I don't believe you had the media attention that we have now. The young men played well in the 2 games at Maryland. We played a super game against North Carolina State to get to the Sweet 16. Against New Mexico, we didn't play quite as well, but our defense carried us. I had a birthday last week. I want to tell this story. And the players went to Bill Self and to Rob Evans, 2 of my assistant coaches, and they said, "What can we get, Coach, as a present?" And I told those guys, I don't like to even think about birthdays when you get my age. And I said, I don't want any presents. Well, they got me a great card, and they all signed it, and they said, "Coach, we're going to win 2 for your birthday present." So that's the best present that I could have received. But now we've got to look forward to playing Temple in the Meadowlands. That game will be Friday night, and we'll be playing the second game. North Carolina will take on Eastern Michigan in the first contest. And tip-off for the Cowboys will be approximately 9 o'clock Oklahoma time or Central time.
A little late-night basketball, but boy, will that be fun at the Meadowlands in East Rutherford, New Jersey. We're going to have highlights of the New Mexico and North Carolina State games coming up. You stay with us as the Eddie Sutton Show continues. Oklahoma State is the number 3 seed in the East Regional, and last Thursday the Cowboys took on number 14 seed New Mexico, and Oklahoma State beat the Lobos 67-54, and pretty good crowd there in a Thursday afternoon in Cole Fieldhouse at Maryland.
It was a sellout. It wasn't when we started the game, and it was early in the morning. I think that was one of the reasons why neither team shot the ball very well. It was the game tipped off about 11:20. There was a follow shot by Johnny Pittman. This is early in the game. I think this is the 3rd basket of the contest. A follow shot on a missed attempt by Byron. Sean penetrates, pitches the ball off to John Potter, and he hits a shot from long distance. They had the worst shooting percentage of the year. They only shot 39%, so our defense carried us. Nice move by Byron Houston.
Take another look at this.
He opened a few eyes back on the East Coast in the 2 games that he performed here. There you can see their big center.
Luke Longley.
Luke Longley, can think of his name. A great defensive play by Sean. Knocks the ball down. Good pass by John Potter.
Had a lot of Cowboy supporters.
We did have a lot of people there. A lot of OSU alums on the East Coast came out to support us. There's just before the half, Potter hits the last basket to tie the game up at 26. As I mentioned, New Mexico had a bad shooting afternoon. We also had the worst shooting game of the year. We only shot 33%, and so our defense really came to the front and allowed us to win. Byron led our ball club with 17, but it took him 19 shots to get there. There's a good steal by Cornell Hatcher, and that's his first dunk of the year.
How about that?
Some of the players have been on him because he can really dunk the basketball, and normally just lays it up.
Take another look at this steal by Cornell.
Perfect defense. He overplayed the passing lane, knocked the ball forward, went and retrieved it, and laid it up. Because Corey Williams, he came in and gave us a shot in the arm right there at the beginning of the second half. He hit that 3-pointer, comes back right after this and hits a driving layup. Here we take a look at it.
Cowboys start to pull away a little bit there.
We were a little stagnant offensively, and we didn't shoot the ball well. We didn't move it, and we didn't move ourselves. And when that happens, you better be doing some things right or you're not going to win. And as I told the media after the ball game, I've had teams go in the NCAA and play well and lose, and I like what happened this particular day. We won. That's the bottom line.
Excellent down the at the free throw line in the second half, coming down the stretch, hit 14 of 15, I believe, Coach, to put the game away and win by 13.
We hit 22 out of 29 this game, and then against the Wolfpack, we go 27 for 29. So our free throw shooting helped allow us to win the ball game. There's Longley. He'll be going into the NBA. Our defense, I can't say enough about it. They had a player by the name of Robbins, who's a very dangerous player, and Corey and Darwin and Cornell. Those guys just took their guards out of the game.
What about the attitude of your ball club, Coach? Sean is the only player, and his experience is limited, but Sean is the only player on the squad that has any NCAA experience. Now, you mentioned the early start time, but what about the Butterflies of playing in an NCAA tournament?
Regardless of how many times you go to the NCAA, I really believe that you always have a few butterflies, and I think you could see that as you watch basketball being played by different schools across the country. Some teams maybe are a little better prepared. Our ball club's mature now. I think after the 2 games that we had in Maryland, and even after the first few minutes, they settled down, and we looked much more relaxed in the game against North Carolina State than we had against the Lobos. We're going to New Jersey this week, and now we should be seasoned veterans. At least that's what I hope happens against Temple.
I think I thought it was interesting, and I believe the comment was attributed to Byron, that even though your ball club may be a little short on experience in the NCAA tournament, your ball club has not gone into this event just happy to show up. They had planned on winning 2 ball games in College Park, and now there are 2 more ball games to play in East Rutherford, New Jersey. That's a sign of maturity. Wouldn't you agree? I
agree with that, and I think that is the attitude that the entire squad has. They realize now they are a good basketball team, and I think our philosophy, the philosophy that Mr. Iba taught me and that taught so many other people, guard people. Go out there and take care of the basketball. Don't beat yourselves. Play with poise. And we were able to do that, and if we continue to do that, I think our ball club believes that they can play with anyone in college basketball.
All right, well, after a day off, the Cowboys then took on number 6 seed North Carolina State, a most talented ball club, but the Cowboys prevailed in that ball game as well. Early on here, Oklahoma State scores the first 6 points of the game.
Nice shot from the perimeter by Darwin Alexander. Darwin had Monroe, he and Corey talking to himself. There's a nice curl move off a screen, and Sean lays it up. Good rebound by John Potter. Great pass. I'm sure all of our fans have seen that shot many times because CBS and ESPN certainly displayed it many times this week after the ball game. Good pass by Byron in low. Cornell knocks it down.
This is toward the end of the first half where you started your 19-0 run. That was unbelievable.
Sean misses a shot. Matias retrieves it. Sean cuts down the lane and a nice feed. Again, another shot of our pom-pom squad, and there's a great shot of Cole Fieldhouse, which has been the home for 2 national championship games in 1970 and 1966.
Now we're in the second half and still working on that 19-0 run where you pulled out to a 14-point lead against NC State.
That last move was a big-time move by Byron, driving down the baseline, laying it up. There's Johnny Pittman on a feed by Byron, and hits a little short jumper.
Oklahoma State did a great job on Chris Corciani and Rodney Monroe.
North Carolina State surprised us a little bit. They opened up the second half in a zone. There's a great show of defense. 3 guys converge on the ball, knock the ball loose, and we were able to go down and lay it up.
Zone didn't seem to bother you too much, though, did it?
I think the reason they went to the zone was the fact that they're not very deep, and Corciani had it was in foul trouble, and they were trying to protect their players, but it really backfired because we did have that 19-0 run, and we jumped out on them. They went back to their man defense. 27 out of 29 free throw shooting. There's not a coach that's ever coached the game who wouldn't take that.
No, sir. 12 for 12. That was a free throw by Byron Houston that enabled him to become the all-time leading scorer in Oklahoma State history, and still got a year to go. He may put that record out of sight.
He edged out Bob Curlin, our great All-American who played here for Mr. Iba in the 40s. Good pass. They're scrambling right now, and we're in spread offense, and there's a shot as I'm putting everyone in the ball game. We know we won it. Shaking hands with Sean, and it's a very happy moment for all the Cowboy players.
My freshman year at Kentucky, we had a great team, and we got to the Sweet 16. We played Villanova, and we were a better basketball team, and we lost the game. And you know, I didn't have a lot of part in it because I was a freshman and I wasn't playing that much, but I still remember that game because you know, when you're the better team, you should win. That's going to stick in your mind. And this time around, I have a more impact on the team, and it's kind of more exciting and more fun because I am playing. And at the same time, because it's Oklahoma State and it's a new situation because they haven't been there for such a long time. And at Kentucky, they kind of expect you to win, and anything that you can accomplish, they've done so many times before. And so it's a different situation, and you know, I'm happy to be at Oklahoma State.
Sean was addressing a question from the media about his experience in the NCAA tournament. And, Coach, I kind of got the impression from the press conference, not only during the week, but at the end of the ball games, that there were an awful lot of members of the media that didn't really expect Oklahoma State to be where they are. Did you get that feeling? Or
anytime you're on the East Coast or in that part of the country, in ACC country or Big East country, I really believe that they feel that their team is going to win. We have surprised some people. I don't think we'll be surprising anyone now that we're in the Sweet 16. But when you come out of this area of the country, a lot of times people don't have the opportunity to see you play. Once they had seen us play against North Carolina State, I really believe that we earn the respect of most people back there.
I know some of the players had mentioned that perhaps the Big Eight gets a little bit lost in some of the shuffle of evaluating conferences and individual talent. Do you feel like that was in any way a motivating factor for the games in Maryland?
Well, I don't think so. I think our team was playing for themselves and for our school, Oklahoma State University. I do believe that those writers ought to know that the Big Eight has been a very dominant conference in the 80s, Missouri and Oklahoma and Kansas. And this year the Big Eight was rated the most difficult league in college basketball. But anytime you play an ACC team or a Big East team back there, well, they always have the feel. You have the feeling that they don't give you as much respect maybe as you deserve. And of course that ball game against NC State was played in Maryland Cole Fieldhouse, so the Cowboys were certainly an ACC country. We're going to talk a little bit more about the NCAA bracket a little bit later on in the show, but coming up next, Oklahoma State receiving some national exposure these days. We'll have that story for you as the Eddie Sutton Show continues. I don't think there is any doubt the Oklahoma State Cowboys have exceeded all expectations this year. The Cowboys are currently 24-7 on the season. They're still alive in the NCAA tournament, and that is certainly an outstanding accomplishment. And the performance of Oklahoma State is beginning to catch national attention along with the national media. It's the kind of exposure Oklahoma State is looking for. After Oklahoma State's 13-point win over New Mexico in the first round of the East Regional, Byron Houston and two of his teammates ended up on the front page of the sports section of the USA Today newspaper. Millions of sports enthusiasts across the nation saw that picture and learned a little more about the basketball program at Oklahoma State. The day after beating New Mexico, Coach Sutton took Corey Williams and Cornell Hatcher to a press conference to talk about the North Carolina State game. Hundreds of credentials were issued to the media for the sub-regional, and it appeared most of them showed up to hear what Coach Sutton and the players had to say. National television sportscasters Vern Lundquist and Len Elmore attended the press conference. There is no doubt so much visibility in the electronic and print media gives a basketball program credibility. Positive exposure can do nothing but help the efforts of Coach Sutton and his staff as they bring the Cowboy program back into national prominence. During the press conference, the North Carolina State game was discussed, but the conversation eventually turned to Coach Sutton and his return to his alma mater. I'm glad we did not play
It's fun for me as one who loves this sport to see Eddie using the wonderful resource of one of the great coaches in the history of the game, in Hank Iba, and conferring with him, asking his advice, getting Mr. Iba involved in the program. All of that. Eddie's a great recruiter as well, and I think that the long-range focus for Oklahoma State is really on the upswing.
Coach, you've got a big fan in Vern Lundquist. You've known him a long time, haven't you?
Well, Vern was in the Dallas area when I first went to Arkansas, and I think he's really a class act. I think he's been good for intercollegiate athletics, and he's always been a very strong supporter of college basketball.
How do you think, as you've gotten away from the Big 8 conference a bit now, and even in Kansas City, I guess we could address that as well, how do you feel like you and your ball club have been treated by the media?
I think they've been treated very well. You know, we've got a classy group of young people, and I think that's one reason I keep telling the students. I talked with some of the members of the band that was back there with us, and some of the students since we got back, and I've talked to a few faculty people and administrators, fans, alumni. What we are receiving as far as publicity is so favorable. And the main reason is we got such a group of outstanding young people that when they go to those press conferences, they represent our school so well. But the media, I think, latches on to someone like Corey Williams or to Cornell Hatcher. They answer the questions well, and they can see that these guys are really what everyone's looking for in intercollegiate athletics. They are student athletes. Basketball is important to them. It's very important at this point. But they're first of all students, and when they get up there before the cameras, well, they represent us very well. They asked Corey about the Terminator,
right.
And he told that story. And of course, I coined the name the Phantom for Cornell. And
right.
Now the only thing left, we've got to come up with something for Darwin Alexander. So any of you people that are watching, will you submit a name, because we're desperately searching for one.
All right, very good. And the Oklahoma State Basketball Show will continue in East Rutherford, New Jersey. We'll talk about the East Regional and some of the other regionals when we come back. You stay with us. The Eddie Sutton Show continues right after this. The NCAA tournament will continue on Thursday. The Oklahoma State Cowboys will play on Friday in the East Regional. Let's take you through the regional so that you can see who's left in the tournament starting in the Southeast, Coach.
Well, look at this, 1, 2, 3, and 4. The selection committee, oftentimes the NCAA is criticized, but when you look at the people that are left, they did an amazing job. Those are going to be two great basketball games. I'm going to pick Indiana to come out of there, although I think the Jayhawks can beat Bobby Knight's ball club. And I also believe that Wimp Sanderson, with his plaid coat, can beat the Razorbacks.
All right, Alabama playing real well right now, as a matter of fact. In the West Regional.
Well, again, 1, 2, 3, 4. Seton Hall and Arizona, they had a great game a few years ago. I'm going to pick Arizona in that game, and Utah won a double overtime victory over Michigan State. I still like Vegas. They were impressive, even though they didn't blow out Georgetown in their last outing.
All right. In the Midwest Regional, we got not 1, 2, 3, 4, but 4 pretty good teams.
Well, you still got a good team in Connecticut.
Yeah.
Last year in the Meadowlands, I saw Duke beat Connecticut, and there's a rematch of that ball game. Ohio State and St. John's. Carnesecca has been there forever. Ohio State's kind of a Cinderella team, winners of the Big Ten. I'm going to pick Duke and Mike to go into Indianapolis and win the Midwest.
All right, and then in the East Regional, which will be Friday, Sunday, North Carolina, Eastern Michigan, Oklahoma State, and Temple.
Well, the two teams that were upset in that area, Syracuse was upset and UCLA was upset, or otherwise they would be there. But when you look at all the teams in the regionals, that's a who's who of basketball, a lot of basketball tradition. We're going to have to overcome Mark Macon and company when we play Temple. John Chaney's done a great job. They too believe in strong defense, a little different style of defense than we play. And also we're going to have to overcome the Eastern crowd. That will be a home court crowd, but our team did a great job in taking the crowd out of the ball game down in Maryland. And Bill Cosby's going to be there. He was there the other night. Our players were looking around for him, and they spotted him, and he'll be there to cheer on his team, the Owls. North Carolina is playing super basketball. I believe they'll beat Eastern Michigan. I hope we have the opportunity to play the Tar Heels in the championship game.
Well, you certainly, I don't see anybody in there, Coach, that's head and shoulders above Oklahoma State.
I don't think there's anyone left in the field that we could not beat. We have respect for all of them. We've gotten this far. You get a little greedy when you get to this point. So I think our ball club will be well prepared for the Owls on Friday night. About 9 o'clock is when we're going to tip it off, and I know there are going to be a lot of Oklahomans watching that ball game.
And I think everybody in the tournament certainly has a great deal of respect for the Oklahoma State Cowboys now, too. So good luck to you, Coach, in the East Regional in East Rutherford, New Jersey. We're out of time. Thanks for being with us this week for Eddie Sutton and Oklahoma State University. I'm Robbie Robertson. Goodbye, everybody.